agreement with the federal government and, very importantly, local stakeholders. On top of this, the land purchase required an act of Congress. We sponsored and passed legislation to get that done while ensuring no net loss of acres for grazing, which is important for our ranchers in the area and something that Theodore Roosevelt would have understood very well. And the artifacts. The federal government holds some of the most significant materials from Theodore Roosevelt's life. And bringing them here requires legislation to authorize doing exactly that. We have that in appropriations bills, but now we're working to make that permanent law so that we will have those artifacts into perpetuity. And we want to do more. You incredible donors have done so much. The state of North Dakota is a part of this. The federal government needs to be part of it as well. So we modeled legislation after what Congress passed for Abraham Lincoln, for the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. How appropriate to provide federal funding on a matching basis up to $50 million. We passed it through the Senate. We need to get it through the House and get it signed by President Trump, who is just here to see this amazing accomplishment. We've been able to make this case, and all these amazing people have been able to make this happen because of Theodore Roosevelt and his incredible story and its importance to our nation. A story of loss, rebuilding oneself after facing adversity and becoming the citizen and public servant our country needed. A tale like that belongs to every American, and that is the story that this library will tell. And it's going to tell it in new and amazing ways. In closing, I want to again recognize Secretary Burgum, certainly the Ham family, Harold and Hillary and the whole family, Theodore Roosevelt IV, Theodore Roosevelt V. Come on, a round of applause for the Roosevelt family who are here today. How amazing is that? And I just got to say, we got to give Ed O'Keefe and Robbie Loff a little credit, too. What do you think? Come on. Amazing. Get to that drone show tonight. But I also want to thank other elected officials who have supported this effort. Governor Armstrong, Representative Fedorchak, North Dakota Senate Leader David Hogue, House Leader Mike LaFleur. Thank you all for your advocacy for this institution. And there's one more person I need to recognize, and that's the man I'm about to introduce. He understood, as I did, that what we're building was not just a regional asset, but a national institution. I appreciate his long-standing partnership as we've worked on this and so many other priorities. Please help me welcome Senator Kevin Kramer.
Thank you, John. On a day like this, I look out and I think about the election of 1992, and Ed Schaefer had just won. And he called me and said, "What cabinet position do you want?" I'm so darn glad I said tourism director. I just wish I still had the job. I was reminded the other night watching the incredible drone show that no TV producer in the world could have set in the foreground of a major lightning storm in the east sky. But I'm glad I captured it for 7 minutes, as sore as my arm got holding up my iPhone. But I was reminded as I watched that, Monsignor, you'll appreciate this, reminded of the great song about the Badlands by the late contemporary Christian artist Rich Mullins, who had an incredible heart for the Dakotas and the prairies. And he wrote a song called Calling Out Your Name, where he says, "The moon spilled laughter on the cold Dakota hills." Don't you love that? The moon spilled laughter on the cold Dakota hills, and angels danced on Jacob's wings. There's a silence in the Badlands, he said. A silence in the Badlands, and the whole universe was still by the whisper of a prayer. A single hawk bursts into flight, and in the east, the whole horizon is in flames, just like Tuesday night. I can feel the earth tremble beneath the rumbling of the buffalo hooves and the fury in the pheasant's wings. It tells me the Lord is in his temple, and there's still a faith that can make a mountain move and a love that can make the heavens ring. I feel the thunder in the sky. I see the sky is about to rain, and I hear the prairies calling out his name. Is it any wonder that Theodore Roosevelt was healed here? And as we celebrate the legacy of Roosevelt, yes, we celebrate this place and the role it played. And God put it here first, as Harold Schaefer says in the video. And you think when he made the Badlands with their healing power that he knew there would be a grieving president that one day might need healing in a place like this? I think he did. And I think he knew a lot of us might. But it didn't end just with that incredible legacy. He sent other heroes along the way. By the way, before we were trying to bust trust, the Marquis de Moray was out here doing it. He was already worried about our ranchers. Is it an accident that Roosevelt came at that time? I doubt it. I doubt it. But just to make sure that it was preserved, 75 years or so ago, the father of a future governor stood on the bluff and looked down in Medora and said, "There's too much here to lose. We have to save it." And Harold Schaefer, Mr. Bubble himself, preserved it for 75 more years. And with the help of next generations like Rod Jaden and Randy Hatzenbuehler, and on it goes, it stays preserved. But most importantly, you guys, it's been preserved with integrity. And that's why this is so incredible. The same integrity that preserves the bluffs from being overrun by commercialism is preserved by this building and championed by it. And every now and then another hero has to come along, and I want to just join Senator Hoeven and everyone else in saying a very special thank you to Doug Burgum, and let's all admit we thought he was nuts. Or some version of it. Anyway, it's a great day to celebrate 250 years of the greatest nation in the history of the world, while celebrating one of the greatest leaders in the course of those 250 years, and celebrating this incredible place of healing that God has given to us to steward for the next 75 plus years. Congratulations to Governor Burgum, Secretary Burgum. Congratulations to North Dakota. Happy birthday, America. But yes. But somebody had to sort of seed the fundraising, right? And I believe, and I always have believed, that it is the appropriate role of government to preserve history, because no one else can do it with the same unbiased integrity. And I'm so grateful, and I know that the folks here are grateful that our state stepped up in a big way. Not easy, not easy. But we have here to appreciate for that the majority leaders of the Senate and the House, Senator David Hogue and Representative Mike LaFleur. Thanks for your incredible work, and say welcome to them and thank you to them.
Thank you, Senator Kramer, and good morning to all of you. As we gathered together on this historic day to celebrate our nation's 250th birthday and the grand opening of the President Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, I wish my poor power of expression could adequately describe to all of you today what immense gratitude and joy the members of the North Dakota legislature feel about this powerful and elegant addition to the town of Medora and to the state of North Dakota. A great people celebrates its consequential leaders. And there are moments in North Dakota's history and in our U.S. history when the voice of one passionate leader can inspire all of us. We in the legislature are inspired to act boldly by the life, the legacy, and the wisdom of President Roosevelt. We're modest students of Roosevelt's life. We know he won both the Nobel Peace Prize, he won the Congressional Medal of Honor, he even was an advocate for the forward pass in football. His commitment to conservation and leadership in protecting 230 million acres of public lands, not only for us, but for our prosperity, stands out in his legacy. Last Wednesday, of course, we heard about President Trump describe his efforts to build the Panama Canal after the French had abandoned it. And we're all impressed, of course, by his many achievements. But we in the legislature have come to understand that Roosevelt's greatest gift may not have been one of his achievements. It was an idea. It was an idea wrapped in encouragement to public officials. To him, stepping forward in government service meant getting your hands dirty, your face marred, and being criticized by many who were outside the arena. But he made clear that the inevitable criticism that comes with public service is a burden worth bearing, because nothing worth doing gets done without resistance, second guessing, and even self-doubt. The planning and the grand vision for this library started long ago. We as legislators fully embraced that vision in Section 5 of Senate Bill 2001 back in 2019. Therein, we established a permanent endowment to fund the maintenance and operation of the TR Library from this day forward. Today, we stand proudly offering to rededicate ourselves to realizing that vision and celebrating the profound legacy of President Theodore Roosevelt. And now, I'd like to introduce my good friend and colleague, Leader Mike LaFour.
Thank you, Leader Hogue. Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day. On behalf of the North Dakota House of Representatives, it is an honor to join you in celebrating the opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Today marks the realization of a vision that has inspired countless people across our state and our nation. This library stands as a tribute to a president whose time in North Dakota helped shape his character, his leadership, his commitment to conservation, public service, and the American spirit. For North Dakota, this is more than just a building. It is an investment in our future. It is a place where visitors from around the world will come to learn, reflect, and experience the story of Theodore Roosevelt and the values that continue to guide our nation. The North Dakota Legislative Assembly supported this effort through funding for an endowment that will ensure the long-term operations and maintenance of this remarkable facility. We recognize that this project is not only a cultural and educational asset, but also a lasting legacy for future generations. Our commitment reflects our confidence that this library will serve the people of North Dakota and visitors from around the country and around the world for generations to come. Projects of this magnitude do not happen overnight. They require vision, perseverance, and champions who are willing to dedicate years of effort to bring an idea to life. Today, I want to offer special recognition to Representative Bob Martinson. Representative Bob Martinson has been a steadfast advocate for this project from its earliest days through years of leadership, determination, and an unwavering belief in this vision. He helped move this project from a concept to the extraordinary reality we celebrate today. Thank you, Representative Martinson. As we open these doors, we honor the legacy of Theodore Roosevelt and reaffirm values of courage, stewardship, and service that he championed. May this library inspire generations to come, just as North Dakota inspired Theodore Roosevelt more than a century ago. In the legislature, we've talked about Theodore Roosevelt's legacy, about what his values mean for North Dakota, about the conservation ethic he left behind, the model of citizenship he embodied, and the standard of leadership he set. And then one day, you meet the man's great-great-grandson, and you realize the legacy is not abstract at all. Theodore Roosevelt V has carried his ancestors' name into the 21st century with grace, with purpose, and a genuine commitment to the values that name represents. He has been a partner to this library, present, engaged, and deeply invested in making sure that TR's story is told with the honesty and the care that it deserves. There is something extraordinary about this moment. The great-great-grandson of the man who stood in these Badlands more than 100 years ago, standing here today on this ground as these doors open. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Credit belongs to those in the arena." The Roosevelt family has been in this arena with us every step of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Theodore Roosevelt V.
Good morning and happy 4th of July. On behalf of the Roosevelt family, it is an extraordinary honor to welcome you to the opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Come on, let's do it. Now, this is a day of celebration and a moment to also recognize the extraordinary work that went into raising this building from the ground. But there is an unspoken truth about this library that I'm going to share with you now. It never should have happened. The idea was just too large, too audacious, too improbable. Throughout the project, I have returned to the words of the Scottish mountaineer W.H. Murray. The moment one definitively commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. No project, certainly no presidential library, has been more true of those words. This library exists because thousands of people committed themselves to an idea that initially seemed impossible. We are here because of providence, yes, but also because of the work, generosity, imagination, persistence, and faith of so many people. We would certainly not be here without the leadership of Ed O'Keefe. The vision, let's give it up for Ed O'Keefe. The vision of Secretary Burgum, the inspiration of Craig Dykers, the imagination of Charlie Melcher, the support of the people of North Dakota, and our donors, and the guidance of our board. There are many others whose work made this once unimaginable day possible. To all of you, thank you. This library has never been about any one person. Don't be fooled by the name out front. Though it bears Theodore Roosevelt's name,
This library is not about him. It's about you. If you leave here with nothing more than a better understanding of Theodore Roosevelt, then we will have failed, succeeding where, quite frankly, a much less expensive book would have sufficed. This is not a shrine to Theodore Roosevelt. It is a place to come face to face with history, with one another, and with the natural world. Theodore Roosevelt believed that citizenship was not passive. It was not a title we inherited or a spectator sport. It was not practiced from the sidelines. It was work. It required courage, service, responsibility, and a willingness to place the common good ahead of comfort and convenience. He sometimes called it the strenuous life. Today, we might call it relentlessly showing up for our communities, for one another, for the places we love, and most importantly, for the future we owe those who come after us. Near here in Dickinson in 1886, exactly 140 years ago to this day, Theodore Roosevelt said, "We have fallen heirs to the most glorious heritage a people ever received, and each one must do his part if we wish to show the nation is worthy of its good fortune." This library, and perhaps if you believe in such things, Theodore Roosevelt's spirit is quietly asking each of us to do our part. It is not a small request, but Theodore Roosevelt did not believe in small citizenship. He understood that the health of our democracy depends not only on its leaders, but on the character of its people. He understood that conservation was not merely about saving beautiful places. It was about stewardship, recognizing that we hold the land, the water, and the country itself in trust for generations we will never meet. It was here amid the hard beauty of the North Dakota Badlands that those convictions were forged. This landscape helped shape Theodore Roosevelt. Its wide horizons, hard weather, wildlife, and people taught him lessons of resilience, humility, and duty that he carried with him all the way to the presidency. But long before Theodore Roosevelt came west, this was and remains the homeland of the MHA Nation. We are deeply grateful for our partnership with the MHA Nation and for the generosity, wisdom, and living traditions that they bring to this institution. A library devoted to leadership and citizenship must tell the truth about the land on which it stands. It must honor those who have cared for it across generations. And it must recognize that the story of this place did not begin with Theodore Roosevelt, nor does it belong to any one family or institution. This land and the wisdom it has yielded belong to all who have shaped it, cared for it, and called it home. You know, this weekend, but in general, I'm often asked what it's like to be related to Theodore Roosevelt. And I say that it's a source of great pride. But it is not mine alone. His legacy belongs to every American and anyone who believes in the promise of this country, that citizenship matters, that leadership matters, that preservation of our natural resources matters, and that the work of building a more worthy nation belongs to all of us. A promise, like a legacy, is only meaningful when it asks something of us. Theodore Roosevelt's life should not make us nostalgic for a more heroic past. It should make us more determined to build a worthy future. That is the aspiration of this library. It is a call to action, to remind every child, every family, and every citizen who walks through these doors that history is not finished, that each of us has a role in writing what comes next. This library is itself a living testament to what happens when people think boldly, live passionately, care deeply, and dare greatly. But more importantly, it asks us to do the same. So let us leave here resolved not merely to admire Theodore Roosevelt's life, but in his words, to do our part, to show that our nation and ourselves, that we are worthy of our good fortune. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. It's too hot to keep standing. Thank you. It is now my great honor to welcome the MHA Nation for their performance.
Please welcome to the stage the Chief Executive Officer of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, Edward F. O'Keefe.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been waiting 3 years to do this. Woo! All right. Now, when I say Roosevelt, you say Teddy. Roosevelt. Teddy. Roosevelt. Teddy. Roosevelt. Teddy. All right. Happy birthday, America, and welcome to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. We have arrived at the end of the beginning. And to North Dakota and the nation, the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library is for your children, your children's children, and all who come after you. Yes! Now, it would not be the TR Library if we just stood up here and did something traditional. So to mark this special occasion, we're going to have some special guests come up here and brand this piece of wood from Sagamore Hill that Theodore Roosevelt and his family planted in 1895. Let the branding begin.
Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt V. Edward F. O'Keefe. Robbie Law. Matthew A. Swift. Governor Kelly Armstrong. Lieutenant Governor Michelle Strinden. Senator John Hoeven. Senator Kevin Kramer. Leader David Hogue. Leader Mike LaFour.
How about that?
Yeah!
Thank you all for being here today. There are moments in the life of an institution when years of belief, work, and sacrifice become real. This is one of those moments. Today, in the Badlands that shaped Theodore Roosevelt, we open the doors to a place more than a century in the making. At a time when cynicism can feel easier than service, this place stands as an invitation to lead with courage, to practice citizenship with purpose, to steward the land entrusted to our care, and to ask again and again what our democracy requires of us. For those who have carried this dream for years, today may feel like a finish line, but really it's just the beginning. Today is the day this library begins its work in the life of our nation. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, and on behalf of everyone who's been in the arena with us all along, it is my profound honor to declare the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library officially open. Ed, our fearless leader, turning it over to you.
Thank you. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Life is a great adventure. Accept it in such a spirit. In that spirit, let the life and great adventure of the TR Library officially begin." Thank you all for being here today. Happy birthday, America. We'll see you tonight for 2 drone shows in the sky. All right.
And bringing you live coverage from across the country and across the C-SPAN networks on this 250th birthday of the United States, including the Independence Day parades. As several parades were canceled in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. due to the extreme heat, we're able to bring you here to the West Coast, underway now, including this parade in Monterey, California, where the temperature is currently 60 degrees.
Social skills and comprehensive academic support to neurodivergent young adults. College Living Experience is representing Disability Pride Month, which is celebrated every July to honor the identity, culture, and contributions of his grandkids, bringing vintage fun to a whole new generation. It's a ride through history you won't want to miss. And here are members of the Monterey Lighthouse Business District located across the tunnel. From fashion and burgers, surf, ski equipment, and dance lessons, and hairstylists, the Lighthouse Business Association District is everything you need. We'd like to congratulate On the Beef Search Shop who celebrated its 40th anniversary this year. We are very pleased to have Monterey Marriott supporting the parade again this year. Visit Fin and Field Restaurant at the bar at the Monterey Marriott to watch your next World Cup match. Let's all say hello to the retro and vintage men and ladies clothing. With over 100 intriguing specialty shops, restaurants, and nightlife, the Lighthouse District is a fun and unique neighborhood to shop, dine, dance, and explore. Let's welcome the Monterey Bay Chinese Association. Their team members consist of the DLI teachers, healthcare company officers, Presidio of Monterey, and more. Today they are wearing the Chinese Mandarin dress, which represents a fascinating blend of Manchu tradition, Western tailoring, and modern female emancipation. Walk to End Alzheimer's is a nationwide fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association, which includes over 600 walks taking place all across the country. These funds help provide service and support for those facing or caring for individuals facing Alzheimer's and other dementias. The Monterey Walk takes place each year in October at the Custom House Plaza and along the bike trail. Mark your calendar for this year's walk on October 17th. The Monterey County Libertarians believe that all individuals should be free to live their own lives and keep their own property as long as they respect the rights of others. As President John Quincy Adams said, we should not go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. Thank you for your participation.
You're watching live coverage from Monterey, California's annual 4th of July parade. Organizers saying it draws about